Welcome back to the Normal Sports Show. My name's Kyle Porter, and we're gonna have a good chat today. This episode is brought to you by Charlie Golf Co. We'll get more into them a little bit later. But Jason, wanted to see how you were doing over there in Amsterdam.
I mean, first off, what a sponsor, Charlie. Yeah, what a company. We'll get to that later, but I don't know. There's something in the air over here in Amsterdam. Maybe it's because it's 16 degrees or 62 for you North Americans, but I don't know. Feels like golf is right around the corner. Spring is right around the corner. Masters facts of the day. Maybe that's helping as well. I don't know. Doing great.
We have a sponsor. We are sponsoring another. We are doing our first sponsorship. We're sponsoring Shane Ryan's Rigamarole on Twitter, which is
big news.
I don't really know how that came about, but we're doing that. Brody Miller is here from The Athletic to talk about, we're going to talk about the West Coast swing a little bit today, Brody. And yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm honored to be part of Shane Ryan's Rigamarole sponsorship podcast here because that is the coolest thing going on the internet right now. So I feel like I'm really part of the cool group now. Yeah, absolutely.
I think Shane is the best at just bits for the sake of bits.
And I'm similar, but not to his level. Like,
yes,
just the ability to commit to a bit so full throttle, and the idea of giving up the bit is failure. So he's just going to keep this going, I assume, forever.
There's well, that's what he told us. So we're getting it might be the best
eternity worth of promotion
sponsorship deal that any company has ever done if he has to do it for 35 years.
That's a great point. Yeah, you bought in low. Yeah.
I think part of this job, and I'm curious if you agree, but I think part of the job of covering stuff and traveling and, it's all absurd, is finding the absurdity in it and leaning into it just for this, almost like amusing yourself with it.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, one, you have built a company based off that.
That's true. That's a good point.
So yes, I agree with you. But no, I mean, yeah, first off, that's just how to be happy in life. It's just, let's find weird stuff that just entertains us and gets us through the day. And I think finding nonsense is the key to that. But I mean, yeah, it's also true in our jobs. It's in storytelling. It's do you know how many outlets out there are writing the same, this is what happened at the tournament story? And by the way, there's a use for that. That's very necessary. But also why write something that someone else is also going to write? So it's just you're one of the best in the world at it, but so many others like Shane and I think some of my colleagues are great at it, is just let's find the weird. Let's find I think I remember a really early thing at The Athletic was find stories that surprise people, which is such a simple, but I hadn't heard it presented that way to view it, right? Is I didn't know I was looking for that story and I found it. So I'm with you, man. That's the key to doing golf because it's such a weird sport. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. And it's so monotonous. And you're like, I don't know. He made a bunch of birdies and pars. And,
if you let yourself, it can be.
Yeah,
and then
for
if you let yourself, it can just be nonstop entertaining. Yeah,
totally.
Could I jump in with a question for two seasoned golf writers? When you're working on a piece, do you have tiers as if there are elevated events within different pieces that you're working on? And do you know if you're working in those tiers?
That's probably a better Brody question because a lot of my output is similar outside of the majors, but he has different sort of profile-y type things that he's probably working on more often.
I mean, you did both though, obviously. But now, do you mean when I'm writing things, I know it's a top tier story or a middle story? You mean?
Yeah, or if it's something that you're going to go off extremely into weird tangents or new odd places. Yeah.
I don't know if this is entirely answer your question, but yeah, I think so. I think it's a mistake when writers do the thing of I'm working on something big. It's my biggest eye roll worthy thing. And writers I talked to 27 people and this is what I got. And it's so it's almost a no and a yes where it's a story's a story, right? But, and I think sometimes the coolest, I remember you can read the coolest 800-word story that has a start, a finish, and an end, a middle and an end that's a narrative. And you can read an incredible, or you can read a really boring 3,500-word story. So I try my best to just treat everything like it should be a story and a narrative. But at the same time, yeah, of course, right? You got your big Masters tentpole you're working on. You got oh man, this is a cool thing that we stumbled on. Of course. And then I am a big believer in letting the vegetables be the vegetables. So if you're writing a quick thing that just needs to be you're doing your job, just do it. Get it out there. don't pretend it needs to be more than it is. Yeah.
I think the way I would answer that, Jason, is it almost exists on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So, if you've got the goods on like Rory or Scottie, you're like, this is going to crush. But I remember this this Baxter Holmes story for ESPN 5 or 6 years ago about peanut butter and jelly in NBA locker rooms. Do you remember this, Brody?
Oh yeah.
And the story was what you said earlier, which is like find stories that surprise people. And you're like, didn't even know I cared about this. And I am like way into this, way in on it. And so I think you have to go like either, play the hits or like so absurd. There was a story on The Athletic today. I'm going to glaze The Athletic here for a second, but
oh no,
it was about the Guardians. This guy was obsessed with collecting a photo of every baseball player that's ever played for the Cleveland Guardians. And he had 1,001. I just read this on the, what's the newsletter called? The morning newsletter, The Pulse. Yeah, really good. Great newsletter. One of my favorites. But he had 1,916 and he was missing one. And he got a Facebook message from, I haven't read the whole story yet, but he got a Facebook message from somebody that led to him getting this one photo of one guy that played one game for the Guardians. They were the Indians back then in 1902 or whatever. And you're like, that is, why do I, and whoever was writing the Pulse this morning, I literally said like, I can't believe I care about somebody that played one game for this team back, over 125 years ago.
That's so good.
I think that's a great example. And the thing I was going to say about The Athletic, Brody, and just to compliment you guys, is I think the Winter Olympics. So my default when I get online is I just type in ESPN.com and like see the headlines, whatever. And that flipped for me during the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
And I thought that the coverage by The Athletic, by Brendan and some of our other, people that we know, was so good and so like not just headliney, but like, hey, here's something like interesting.
I think they did kick behind at that. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here. Yeah.
You can say whatever. So I've always like viewed The Athletic in like a high regard, but it flipped for me during the Olympics, where now when I want to see a headline, I'm just theathletic.com. So that's a testament to what you guys have built.
And I'm not part of it, so I can just like celebrate it. Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, I was looking back through your stuff. You didn't like blog or write anything about the Olympics, did you?
No, we got kind of our awesome team out there, and they just kind of own it. Yeah,
they did a great job, and my family was way into the Olympics in ways that I don't think I anticipated, especially for the winter. We like the summer, but the winter, it surprised me how much fun it was. I
never think I'm going to get into it, but like to your point, like I think that's why those stories killed, right? Is because like. I don't know a single person that is like a week to week figure skating expert or snowboarding expert. Like, no, none of us actually, and the amount of people is really small. So why would you try to cover that like a normal gamer? Like, because none of us are reading it like we are like Sunday at no, just tell me something cool I didn't know. Like, yeah, that's
totally. We had a conversation at the dinner table a couple nights ago that I'd love y'all's opinion on. We think that all my kids think, and I think the Olympics should be the Winter Olympics should be every 2 years and the summer should be every 2 years. So you would get an Olympics every year.
Wow.
And so it's sort of tantamount to like, I remember Solly telling Rory that, I think this was on a podcast. I hope it was public, but the Ryder Cup should be every year. And Rory was like, no, that devalues it. Like
novelty matters,
I don't want that. And Solly's point, which I thought was so good, and I go back to so often, is like, should we play the Masters every 2 years instead of every year? Does that make the Masters less special?
A great counter. Like I can't argue that counter. But I do think novelty matters, right? Like, but maybe like I'm really thinking this through. Like maybe that's our own just annoying. Like, well, something's how we always did it, so that's tradition, and then I'm sticking to that. But like, would I enjoy the Olympics? I know I'm going to enjoy the Masters every year because it's the best tournament, best course, all that. I don't know if I'd get as into the snowboarding long jump thingy if I saw it every year. The novelty like does matter in that one. Ryder Cup's a good argument though. Like that's actually a good counter. So I'm torn.
The Ryder Cup thing is interesting because you don't get it in your country every year, and so I think that's like
yeah.
okay, there's still some scarcity there that is meaningful.
Also,
I don't know, Jason, where do you lie?
Also, I mean, you got to think those winter athletes have other lives and other jobs. Like, what are you going to do if you're a ski mountaineering athlete and you're saying to your boss, like, "Hey, I'm sorry, they switched the Olympics to every 2 years, and I'm just not going to be able to make it."
Okay, here's a thought that I had, and maybe somebody did a story on this, but how many Olympians do you think have other jobs?
Yeah, you seem to have some info here, Jason. What do you got?
I read something the other day that they just did a couple of profiles on specifically like the athletes in the Winter Olympics, and it was just surprising. Like, first of all, the level of the athletes that they were profiling, it wasn't just like Joe Schmoes. It was like the top performers, and there was like they are a bartender or they're a canoe guide or whatever. So it was kind of pretty enlightening into like they have complete lives outside of these sports. I don't think that's the same for the Summer Olympics, but I do think it applies to the Winter Olympics.
I do think the more obscure the sport, like the monobob, like
gets on a revenue sport. Yeah,
like I don't know if there's like a monobob circuit but like skiing.
That's the story we should pursue. Yeah,
for sure. Maybe get the public investment fund involved and see what happens. But
couldn't go wrong.
I think. So some of them like skiing and figure skating, like they have like world champion, even speed skating, world championship. Like they have like the PGA Tour of those sports where they're traveling around and I don't know how much money they're making. It might be like a more of like a Corn Ferry situation than a PGA Tour situation. But
when do we think golfers, like what was the cutoff line, do we think, when golfers stopped needing jobs? Like, is it even earlier than I think? Is it like 19, like, I guess back in the really old days, they were just like, they were the pro at their club, right? So I guess like when did...
That's still a different job though.
Exactly. So like, yeah, I wonder when the cutoff was of like the last time that some guy had to go still be the pro at his club, or still had to, like, when did they make enough money to be like, I can just play tournaments year round?
I think you could figure that out. And maybe Jason, you can do this while we're talking, but like if you found the median on the money list in like I would think like the 80s. If you found the median on the money list, whoever finished 75th or whatever, and compare that to like what the income, this might be a lot of work, Jason, so maybe you shouldn't do this, but compare that to like what the
we're not hearing Jason again for the rest of the pod.
What the national income average is for at that time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think like my guess is it's probably pretty far back, like, but I don't know if that's true. Yeah, because the tour didn't really exist until what, 70s? So like the actual like PGA Tour. So you're probably right. Yeah. The 100th guy in 1982. Did he make enough?
I think they did other stuff.
I mean, a very quick rudimentary Google says it's after the 1968 PGA Championship when the pros were bummed about competing against professionals, like club professionals who had other side jobs. So then they went and formed the PGA Tour. But that's a little bit earlier than you guys were suggesting. But
that doesn't necessarily mean that they
stopped.
Didn't need other jobs in like the winter or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
New
between 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Like might have to throw that in the newsletter. Okay. Brody, I wanted to talk to you. You were out on the West Coast a little bit, went to Torrey, went to Riv, and this will come out before Bay Hill, but not right after Riv. So it'll still be relevant as we kind of head into Florida, head into the Masters and all that. And you wrote a really good piece after Riv, after Jacob Bridgman won, just about how, we've sort of, and golf shifts quickly, all sports do, but golf especially because it's individual. It's like, okay, where's the 20 to 25-year-old American stud, right? Like when I started covering golf in 2012, Rory was 23 or something like that. And then you had Spieth, who was...
And JT and
in 2015, I remember when Spieth won Chambers Bay, Rory and Spieth held every major at that time because Rory had won the last two of 2014 and Spieth had won the first two of 2015. And they were a combined 44 years old, which is crazy. You had JT, you had even somebody like a Zalatoris was like pretty young and all that. And you look at that 20 to 25, especially on the American side, and you're like, what's going on? What do you think that is? Like, why is that the case right now?
So I almost want to start by like, so there was this story I've been working on for like a little while that didn't run and maybe runs one day, might not, who knows. But it like started with a thought about like, why are all these amateurs? Because I want to preface, I think like there's a lot of really exciting 22-year-old talents. What's weird is that like you're not seeing, there's been this weird wave of like guys like, you know, Dunlap won a tournament as an amateur.
Yeah.
Ludwig, when he was an amateur, I know he was older, but still like he played like what, 8 tournaments and PGA Tour tournaments as an amateur and like was top 20 just no matter what every week, if not better. Clanton contended like every time he played. And now I think Koivin's kind of that guy. And then all of a sudden, like they turned pro. And I know there's complicated reasons for this. Like there was no pressure those times and life changes, but then they just kind of like didn't become guys when they turned pro. And I'm not like reacting that like, should we be concerned about Luke Clanton? He's like 23. Like he's going to probably be fine. But you suddenly look to your exact point of like, Ludwig's even had a down year this year. Ludwig was on a nice trajectory. He's like 32 on Data Golf right now, and he's 26. Like the 24 to 27 group that usually, to your point, is always there, just hasn't been. Like they're just not taking the leap you'd hope, and it was really weird. The why I haven't been able to necessarily figure out, and I think that's what I'm trying to like eventually do a bigger story on is, okay, is it just that we were spoiled with that generation?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that's like 29 is normally when golfers peak. Maybe that's fair. Is it that, I don't know, like these guys had so much like pressure on them early that it messed with them? Like, you know, like a baseball player getting called up too early or something. I don't know. And I'd love to hear your guys' theories. But like, look at this year's Ryder Cup team. Like, the new additions to the American Ryder Cup team were a 35-year-old, a 36-year-old, and Cam Young was 28. So it's just like you're not seeing that wave. And I know like Scottie and Colin are still 29. It's not like there's not youngish players, but where's that mid-range development to then take a bigger leap? And I've been really kind of concerned about that, like what's going on there. And I think you're at least seeing something. I don't know if any of these guys carry star power, so that's like an entirely different discussion, but you are seeing a nice wave of Goddard is balling out right now at 26, and he's up to like probably what, 18th or something in the world in Data Golf. Yeah. Bridgman's obviously balling out. He's inside the top 30 now. Cootie went from 96 to now he's in the 30s. Ryan Gerard, who's a really good player, went from 69 to I think 20s now. Ryo Hisatsune's balling out. You know, like you're seeing, I don't know if any of these guys are like needle movers, but at least you're seeing some growth in that 24, 25, 26 group. And it's a 2-month data sample. We should not overreact to that, but like, at least that's something, you know, but it's a little weird. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. One, Sean Martin had a really good take on this that I would have never thought of. Yeah, he's got great takes, but he was talking about how basically when Spieth, Rory, JT, like that kind of, they're close to the same generation, but they came up with Trackman and kind of this new technology, strokes gain stuff, and they were quick to adapt because younger people are always quick to adapt on everything. And so it gave them this advantage over the, we'll say, Adam Scotts of the world who were in their 30s. And that advantage led them to having a ton of success when they were 20. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting. And he was like, basically,
now everyone has that, right?
Totally. And so like the playing field has leveled, and his point was like, there hasn't really been a new thing, like a new potential competitive advantage that younger golfers or younger people kind of glom onto that gives them a little bit of a nose out in front of some of these other guys.
That's a really good observation.
Yeah, it was fascinating, and I hadn't thought of it. And so his like overarching point was now that the playing field is a little bit more level, experience matters a little bit more. And some of the things that, and I think a lot of this, Brody, and I think this is sort of maybe a boring answer, but probably the right one, is that it's cyclical, right? Sometimes you get Trackman coming out and you hit on, you know, a generational player like Rory or Rahm or somebody like that. And sometimes you don't have that for a while and you have a lull. I mean, think about the 2010s, 2009, like when you had the Westwood, Luke Donald, like not Matt Kuchar, like it wasn't.
It's a key point.
It was just kind of like, okay, like those guys are good, but they're not, you know, super duper stars. I pulled, so the last 3 American #1 amateurs in the world.
Yeah.
who are now pros. Luke Clanton, Gordon Sargent, Nick Dunlap. So they're all pros now. Jackson Coyvin's number one, but he's not a pro. Their last 55 starts on the PGA Tour combined, 1 top 10, 30 miscuts or WDs.
I mean, Clanton's like, if you just, because data golf, obviously that page is so good at presenting it. It's just like, when he was an amateur, it was every single week, like 20th, 14th, 10th. Like we're at 20 pro starts now, and it's nothing. It's usually cut or 60. Like it's bizarre. And that's a lot of starts. It's enough to be concerned. Now, I think there's 2 other theories I've gotten through while doing this, and I think Sean's is actually really onto something, but it's also like, is PGA Tour U possibly, like, obviously it was a really smart idea. I think we all were pro, like, good, find paths for our stars to, but like, is that maybe, and I don't have like the information to really nail this down, but is that maybe like a disservice to some of these guys? Because I think that argument that you made about reps and like experience, I think that's my other like building theory is, like, what's the biggest thing we've learned about quarterbacks, I feel like, in the last few years? It's, man, reps just matters. Like, reps is the biggest indicator of, like, Joe Burrow was average his first year at LSU, and then year 2, he was amazing, and he's great, while, like, all these guys that look amazing as a one-year college quarterback struggle in the pros. Like, and now you even see your Darnolds. It took a lot of time for him to get here. Your Bakers, even, to an extent. And I really been thinking about that of, like, Akshay's 24, and he's really turning a corner. He's looking really good lately. He grinded on lower tours and Korn Ferry for like 4 or 5 years as turning pro at 17. Like, I'm not, that's one example, but there's something there. And I also think I love Sean's theory, and this is all just like me spitballing here, but like one of my other theories was, is there something to that point? Everyone's smart at chasing distance now, all that stuff. And these guys are so good at it when they're younger that they're good enough to immediately compete, which is why, because they're so hitting it so far, they're so ahead, they're good enough to go in on a week and win like Dunlap won, or go in, but that's a different skill from meaning that, like, we used to take, I'm spitting in a circle, but I've got it now. We used to take somebody winning at 21 and meaning they're on a rocket ship, and it might just mean they're ready. But it doesn't mean they're on a rocket ship. It means their distance, their speed, all those things are just ahead of the curve, but it doesn't correlate to a path. And I think that's my actual biggest theory, is that we're just like proclaiming a lot of these guys superstars when they're good at 21, but it just might mean they're good at 21. And that's scary.
Yeah, I think you also, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think that guys are more okay with like, hey, I'm going to take my shot to win, and if I miss the next 3 cuts,
another
like, that's okay,
key part, yeah,
right? Like, and so you get these like pops of like the Dunlap of like, hey, I'm going to take my shot to win, and if I miss 4 cuts in a row after that, like stylistically, I think it's a little bit different than it used to be, and so I think it gets a little bit harder to determine who's actually good and who just like had a really hot week.
And that's kind of true across golf a little bit too. I mean, like, I know we got our consistency gods, like our Scotties and our Tommies, but like a lot, like Victor just some weeks is God and some weeks he's not very good. And like, I mean, Bridgman, if you look at his 2025, it was like, he made the Tour Championship, by the way. He had a good year, but it was 3rd place or like missed cut, 4th place or 52. Like, there is something, I really think that's a smart point, that like there's a little bit of all or nothing to these guys, because maybe the payout's more valuable. Maybe totally. It's this, I don't know.
I mean, to that point, I got a text from somebody last night during TGL. I don't know why, because Spieth is not involved, but I got a group text from somebody that was like, Spieth is basically Charlie Hoffman over the last 9 years. And you're like, okay, take it easy, like chill out. And I went and looked, and Spieth, since the start of 2025, so 14 months ago, better strokes gained than Ludwig, better strokes gained than Gotterup, and better strokes gained, there was a third one in there, Justin Rose. And so Spieth. Jordan Spieth, yeah.
Okay.
And so what's interesting about that is like, and Andy always talks about, what are professional golfers chasing? Consistency. But if you're consistently like a 1.4 strokes gain guy every single week, you're never really going to get anywhere, right? Like you're never going to win. You're going to finish like T13 every week or T20, and that's like fine. But sometimes I wonder if guys aren't chasing maybe like, I think Andy's right, and I agree with him, but there's something in there that I'm like, are they chasing consistency or are they chasing wins? You know, and I don't know.
Who's to say what's right and what's better, right? It's so hard because like Cantlay and now Xander has the majors, but like Xander was an example of this for a long time. Like had amazing careers for 8 years of being like top 10, top 20 gods, made Ryder Cup teams every year, President's Cup teams, and like made millions and millions of dollars. So it's like, I don't want to sit there and say it's wrong, but at the same time, I'm with you. Like the way we care about sports and narratives and like making big moments. Yeah. It's like, is that a flawed path? I think that's a really good point of like, okay, but you're not getting the win. You're not going to go down as some great, and maybe that doesn't matter to Patrick Cantlay. Like that's possible, but like he's an interesting cat. But like it might matter to Luke Clanton, who has a swagger and like a cool factor, and like I want to win. I don't want to finish 8th. That's cool, and also it's good to have a diversity there of different types of players. Like that's also good.
Yeah, I think. Gosh, I have a lot, and then you get somebody like Scottie, who's he's both, right? He's like
both.
Somebody the other day in my newsletter called him the penthouse because he has the highest floor. I was like, that's pretty good.
Pretty darn good.
He never finished. I mean, he's 3+ strokes gained every single week, and then he'll pop up and win. You're like, that combination is just it's impossible to play against. Brody, I just read the Alan Shipnuck's Rory book, and I thought it was okay. I thought and I'll write more about this. I thought his access to Rory, I mean, he admitted this, it was limited, it was non-existent basically, and I think that hurt the book a little bit later on, like toward the end. But the thing I kept thinking about was Rory was like so clearly the dude when he was 18, 19, 20, and he had that, like he had the juice, right? And I think about somebody Sean and I talked about, Matthew Wolff.
Mm-hmm.
So much juice, right?
A lot of juice.
And then you get into like these Bridgman, Gerard, and to me, they feel a little bit like Harris English clones. Like, and I don't like. I like Harris English. Like he's fine, but he's not there. There's not like juice there, and no. I don't think he thinks that. I mean, you know, Russell Henley, like not a ton of juice. Great player, really good player. And I'm curious about. What?
No, I think you're. I know where. Yeah,
well, I'm curious about if there's anybody within this sort of young 20 to 26 range, because you've been out there with them more than I have. Is there anybody that has the juice? Like anybody that like you're like, okay, that there's something here.
So of the current pros, I guess Clayton counts the current pro now. The guys we're talking about that are playing well right now. You know, your Gerards, Gotterups. No, like just straight up, Gotterup's got like a little something. Like Gotterup. I think we all want Gotterup to like stay around for a while as just that, like, I don't know if he'll ever be better than 8th in the world or something, but like have a good career in just that like stocky kind of dry character. I want him around. So juice isn't the right word, but he's got like whatever the cousin of juice
good character
is. Yeah, like he's a good, but he's not the guy you want on the face. I think my answer is the super youngs do. So I think Clanton has something. Like obviously right now he's got to figure a lot out. It's pretty bad. But he has something. Like there is a swagger, a coolness, a little bit of magic to his game too, that I think like when it pops, like it pops. Mm-hmm. And I think Koivu has a little bit of juice. Like I'm not saying juice in the way, neither of these have the juice in the way of like we knew who Rory was when he was 17 years old. No, I don't think it's that kind of like we're an average person that heard of him or Tiger Woods. Of course not. But if they make it to the level that I think they can, they could, I think, be like stars. I think that's in the cards, but that's a lot to ask. Golf is a sport where we have 4 or 5 of these guys every year, and like one out of how many actually become dudes. So I think that's a lot to put on them, and that's not a good percentage to your question. No, a lot of the guys playing good golf that are under 26, they don't have juice. Even Ludwig, probably falls in like a similar thing that we just said about Gotterup, right? Where it's like, yeah, Ludwig's cool. Like we all like Ludwig. Ludwig's interesting and got a swagger to him and has, but like, Ludwig's not tentpole star. So I don't know where the juice is right now.
What about Hovland? You think Hovland has juice?
Hovland does have juice, but
I think he does too.
He's 27 now, and what's your confidence level Victor will ever be what we wanted him to be?
I don't know. You know, I've been
because 2023, man, I'm like, that's number one in the world. That's the guy.
I know. I've been a little bit affected, I think, by two guys recently. And, you know, I think if you asked me this question 6 years ago, I would have said like, hey, if you're not the dude at 20, then like you might have a great career. You might have Matt Kuchar's career and make $55 million, but like you're not going to be the dude at 31. And the two guys that have like shifted that for me, one more than the other, but one is Sam Burns, who your boy down there in Louisiana, but he just improved so much at like 24, 25 and has become he's not like a dude, he's not like the face of golf or anything, but I think the way his career has evolved has really shifted how I think careers can evolve, which is like you can become a great iron player because he did and he wasn't. And that's been interesting to me. And then obviously Scottie. Like Scottie
changed, I think, a lot of our thinking on this. Yeah.
Totally. Like and I heard Neil talking about this recently, like about how he kind of had a okay amateur career. Like he had a pretty good amateur career. He won the junior AM. He was like good at Texas, but not like, I mean, Sean Martin said this, like Bo Hostler is better than Scottie Scheffler at Texas. And so, you know, I'll never forget, you were probably in there at the Masters, I think it was 24 when he won. And he said that his coach, Randy Smith, told him, like, I don't care if you're the best in the world at 15. I want you to be the best player in the world when you're 25. And man, that has stuck with me because it's like, I guess he's just shifted my thinking from like, hey, you got to be Matthew Wolff when you're 21 or you're not going to be Matthew Wolff when you're 30. And Scottie has like changed that for me. And he is an outlier, but I don't know if that is something that will continue happening in the future with other guys. Like, does Nick Dunlap kind of evolve into that? I don't know, but I think that part's interesting.
No, it's fascinating. I think you're completely right. Like, I think we need to alter our thinking a little bit. I mean, like, and I don't know, this is too high-brained and like high-minded and probably just not true, but like, is trying to be the dude is what ruins some of these guys in their 20s? I don't know, but like, yeah, you're supposed to peak in your late 20s. Like, that's how it's supposed to go. And it's silly of us looking at this in way hindsight, because I used to do it as much as anyone. It is so silly of us to think you're supposed to like be fully formed in your early 20s. And that's where Tiger, Rory, and Spieth to an extent ruined it for us. Just ruined the way and that's the same way LeBron ruined it for basketball. And I think I don't know if there's a great NFL example too of like that prodigy that just met the expectation in every step. That's not how it's supposed to go. Like, and I think like you look at Colin Morikawa, who by the way is having an excellent career. Like, don't mean this as a diss. He won 2 majors by 24. Every one of us would have assumed path skyrocket forever. Just hasn't happened. And it's just a reminder that like success is not linear, and also when the jump comes is just not where we expect. Scottie's the best example. Yeah.
Well, and to that point, like success is not linear and it's not prolonged. I mean, you look at every 3+ major winner in history and
it's 4 to 5 year runs, right?
Yeah, almost all of them. It's like 5-year run at most.
Scottie's year 5.
Well, and that's the part where you're like, okay, what is this? Are you an all-timer or are you like, I mean, he's an all-timer, but are you like an all-timer? Are you like one of the 5 best golfers that's ever lived? You wrote something early in the year about how you think this is going to be Scottie's best year yet. I agree with you.
It could be.
Yeah. I'll check the language on that. But
no, you're good. You're good.
How much do you still, after the West Coast swing, so he wins Amex, plays, has the weird Thursdays. Everybody's been following that, whatever. But do you still believe that? Do you still believe it could be his best year ever? Or have you kind of like backed off that a little bit?
Probably still believe it. And like just the cliff notes, for assuming no one read it, like the idea. Well, no, I didn't mean that. Just like, realistically, the cliff notes is basically like Scottie has always had an impediment to the beginnings of his years, right? Like every year of his career, there was 2022. He just wasn't really like a guy we knew yet, didn't know how to win yet, basically. 23, best ball striker on earth, couldn't putt for his life. 24, The putting was still very much a thing going into that season, and it didn't really curve until first week of March, and then ran off with it. And then last year, I think was the best example of why I think this is another off season. He's supposed to take a leap. His putting's fixed. So the leap, what's the next leap? The hand incident comes, and it takes like 3 months to find form. And like, he had this really illuminating few quotes of like, it's not like off season, he said, is like where I am training my body for the next step. And he said, like, you guys would never notice it, but 2025, my body was just not holding up the way it normally holds up. And the guy still won 2 majors, 6 tournaments, right? Like, unbelievable season. Yeah. And once he found his form in March, by the way, I think statistically that next 5 months was actually even better than 2024. It was just like,
yeah.
So I say all that to say, like, and I know you know this, but this is the first offseason he's coming in without a yeah, but. And I think that's kind of a crazy thought. First one in a while where he's a good putter and he's healthy and he's got a full offseason to work. So like, and he won his first tournament. What could this be? Yes, I still think that. I think the only thing that's just kind of weird, and like, I'm a data nerd. I know like you need larger samples to ever react to something like this, but like, his iron play is for the first time basically ever kind of weirdly down the last 4 weeks, which is hilarious. So he's putting great for the most part. Everything's actually pretty good. But like, I was at Riv, he was just like missing fairways, missing from the center of the fairway, missing some greens by like 10 yards and leaving himself in trouble. That's golf, but that's not Scottie Scheffler golf. So that's the only thing I like have an antenna up on. I'm not there. I'm worried. My gut still says like, even with that, he's gained 2.3 strokes last week, 3.15 at Pebble, 3.26 at Open at Phoenix, and that's with a bad round inside of that. So I'm still all in on him. I still totally think it. But the iron thing is like let's keep an eye on that. I've never seen him have 0.16 gained an approach in a tournament. Like,
well,
never.
I was going to say, I was watching Pebble, I think it was final round, and he hit the shot on, what was it, 13 or 14? And it was like, and it, granted, like, he was ripping at every pin and it was windy and all that, but it was like 25 yards back left over the green. And you're like, whoa, like, I would expect, Rory to hit that shot maybe, but not Scottie. Like, that's not his deal. I did look this up because I was interested, and so 2024, first 4 events, no wins, 3 top 10s, good start, 2.5 strokes gained overall, which is like, it's really good. Like 2.5 is an amazing number. 2025, first 4 starts, that was coming in off the Ravioli deal. Normal sport.
I just see that, right?
No wins, 2 top 10s, 2.34 strokes gained. Still, I mean, I think he was behind, I want to say, Morikawa and Rory in terms of those, like that first part of the year in strokes gained. And then he went on to win 6 times. He won 15 times combined in those 2 years, including 3 majors. And now in 2026, 1 win. So he didn't have that in the previous 2 seasons. 3 top 10s, same as 2024. 3.15 strokes gained, that's crazy. Now, to your point, like,
when your bad golf is that, it's just stupid.
Oh, it's insane. Like, some of that has been buoyed by he's been like a top 8 putter, top 10 putter over the last 6 months, which is nuts. But that to me is like, I don't think this is stopping.
No, there's every other person we're talking about, there was an obvious reason why a cycle might end, right? It's like Tiger, 2 books have been written, like things happen in his personal life or his countless surgeries, like that would end each one of his cycles. I'm trying to think what kind of, like, Watson had a thing that like kind of cut his down a little bit, but normally there's a reason. There's nothing high and low about what Scottie Scheffler does. There's no variability really. There's nothing erratic. It's just consistent. And the way he lives his life is consistent. There's no like reason to believe that he's going to suddenly start chasing something new, or he's going to like implode mentally, like, I think even Rory probably had a little bit of like, at certain peaks, like, I am completely guessing here, but just like, he's a person who's interested in things. Like, he might have been like, I'm now chasing this and that backfired. Like, I don't know. And there's nothing about Scottie that does that. If anything, the scariest thing on earth is the putting thing we talk about. That's the Tiger trait of Tiger just being like, I'm on top of the world, I'm going to change my swing one year. Like Scottie being the best player in the world and then also as a bad putter and then becoming the top 5, top 10 putter in the world. That's like, why would this ever change? And I think that's not how sports work, and you never see the stop coming. So like it will come. That's just human nature.
Yeah.
But I don't see it coming. So I don't know.
Thank you again to today's sponsor, Charlie Golf Co. If you haven't heard of Charlie Golf Co., built by Tyler Johnson, one of my buddies, in his garage. Jason, he was hanging wires, putting up lights, packaging up kids' golf bags for the last several years. Finally got a warehouse, which we're very excited for him about. But as somebody who I don't think could be more at the intersection of loves golf, has kids, likes to play, likes to spend time with them, this has been a sponsorship I know that you were excited about, but I could not be more excited. We love everybody that we've partnered with. Like, we wouldn't partner with them if we didn't like their stories. But man, this one has been just a dream to kind of get on board over the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what do they say? Great things start in garages, and I think Charlie Golf Co. is just another. I did.
Jason Page.
Yeah. No, I think it's just another great example of like starting small, starting intimate, authentic, and just the good things that come out of it. So it's so awesome to have them as a sponsor.
Absolutely, check them out, charliegolfco.com, and we will get back to the show. I think that the two things I get worried about with top guys are, one, if your greatness is dependent on like one trait, like if you're a one or
Great
two
point.
skill guy, and one of those goes away, it's like, ugh. And he's not that. So like, despite the approach play dropping off for whatever reason, I'm sure he'll get asked about it at Bay Hill. Like, he still is like auto top 10, top 12, whatever. And then the other thing is injury. And that's where I was talking to somebody about this. I can't remember who it was, but just the idea that he had the back in college. And this sort of goes back to your deal about like, hey, I needed the off season to get my body stronger, to work on my, like building up my, and Tiger used to talk about this, like building up, because the tour season wears you down. And so that's the only other thing, but that's like, who knows? I mean, that's not a thing that you can really see coming, especially from the outside. Maybe he can feel certain tweaks or whatever, but other than that, man, I guess one of my questions, because again, you've been out there and around him probably a little bit more than I have recently. Does he have the juice? That's been like such a big thing, big like Twitter debate, and like people yelling about, oh, he's the worst, he's boring, like I can't say, like what's your position on that?
Yeah, he totally does. Does he have the juice? If your metric is Tiger, Rory, Michael Jordan, like they have a certain type of Shakespearean narrative juice to them that like that's just not normal. But yes, he has the juice. And I could just show you all of, I mean, and I'm sure yours too, but like our numbers show you that like Scottie gets numbers, man. And I think it's as simple as he is a level of great that it doesn't matter how boring he is. Like, and he's not actually boring. You know that, I know that. Like, I don't think he's boring, but I understand why people think he is. The greatness transcends that. The, oh my gosh, you have to see this because you don't want to miss this greatness. It's catching on with people for the most part. Like, I don't feel like, 1 out of 5 comments on my story will be like, Scottie bores me, this stinks for golf. Like, that's fine if you think that, but like, that's not the majority. And also, like, he's not actually boring. I think, like, I wrote a piece 3 years ago about like, you think he's boring, he's actually one of the most psychotic competitors you've ever met, and just like a hothead, which I think is also a big theme of when he's not playing well, you learn a lot about him. And like, he has the juice, man. I was gonna say something, but I was gonna say, like, the only other thing would be like, he does have such an athletic swing. Like, maybe if it's not even necessarily an injury, like just maybe the athleticism fades one day in some small way, but like, that's probably subtle, because to your point, like even when he loses distance, I still think he's the best short game player, right? Like you would say probably 1, 2, or 3 in the world.
Yeah,
like that's not going away. if the putting stays, the ball striking, like, yeah, don't see it.
I asked during the gold medal hockey game on when it was played, U.S. Canada. I asked who Connor McDavid's. I don't follow hockey, and Connor McDavid intrigues me. Like I mean, obviously, like you watch the game and you're like, that guy's unbelievable. Like I don't even know anything about hockey, but I didn't know anything about his personality. And I said, what's the golf comp for Connor McDavid? And everybody said Scottie, but one of the anonymous Twitter account, I think it was Glued Activator, I don't know, one of those guys, said it's Scottie because he's pretty quiet, but also like he might be a total psycho.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. I know you love doing this too. I love comparing like different narratives and things like that. And it's like Tiger and MJ is probably the most like obvious comp in the history of sports, right? Because it's both like just the psychotic nature, the self-destructive nature, all those things. I think Rory's LeBron for a lot of reasons, both the intrigue, thoughtfulness, prodigy, but living up to it. But I think the longevity element and how like their like tentpole argument for greatness is actually like LeBron's never catching Jordan, but what he can ping to is that like I was the best for 20 years. I won titles with 3 teams. But Rory's kind of the golf equivalent of that, of like he was the guy for as long as anyone's ever been the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what Scottie's is for sure. Like, I just haven't pinned it down. Like, is it some great pitcher? Is it like a Peyton Manning or something? Like, I haven't figured it out yet, but that's our mission, Kyle and Jason. We're going to figure this out.
Like, I think I feel like somebody, you know what?
No, you had Federer, didn't you? Wasn't that your pitch?
I said Fed, but somebody said the other day, I thought this was really interesting. Somebody tweeted at me and said Sampras. Which I was like,
plays, yeah, because like
super hairy.
Still, man, you're right though. Like,
yeah, totally. But like, we haven't heard from as I listened to the Andy Roddick podcast, and he talks about how like Sampras is just not. He's not in. He's gone. He's like out. And I think that's sort of Scottie's deal. Is like I don't like desire all this.
I was just thinking he's kind of like a Greg Maddux like character, like bit. Sort of like effortless, but then kind of genius when you start to break it down. Like, yeah,
I think he very much plays in the like greatness and like style. You're right. The problem is Maddux like never was probably like the face of baseball, but you are absolutely right. But yeah, Scottie's normal, which is why I'd love to read up more on Sampras and see how apt that is. Like Scottie's normalness of wit combined with greatness is off the charts rare. Like I actually am trying to go through like the greatest of every sport at any given time. None of them were as normal as Scottie, like away from golf. Like, I mean, yeah, he's not normal. He's so competitive. He has all these traits, but like truly the idea of like my trophies are just hidden in a closet somewhere.
What about like a Drew Brees?
Different levels of greatness, but totally. Yeah, I think Drew Brees had a little more I want to be famous. And like Scottie literally is on a mission not to be. Like he doesn't take endorsement deals other than like his 2 tent poles, doesn't do commercials, doesn't want to do interviews or like be on the magazine. It's just truly like whatever helps me stay this good at golf and make me a good father and husband, the better. That's nobody.
That's my whole point is like, if you only took that sort of aspect of him, it would be the most fascinating thing in professional golf. And he's got all these I think he's like really good at course management and hitting. I mean, you hear Tiger talk about like how he hits these different shots and you're like, whoa, like, I don't think I realize the level of good that he is. But even if you just took that idea of like, I don't really care to be great, but also I'm freaking like the 8th best player that's ever lived. I don't know what to do with that. Like that has never, that like doesn't exist. And that tension is crazy, I think.
I think the most obvious, but not like obvious to us, like way to describe why Scottie might never go away. And I think Randy Smith said this to me once. And I think like, it's probably true of all these greats, but why I think like, there is no trophies chasing. There is no number he's chasing. There's no like, and he's not competing against anyone else out there. Every day Scottie plays a practice round, he is competing against the best version of himself. And like, that sounds obvious, but it's just, I think if you keep that swing thought in the back of your mind every day when you're trying to analyze why he is the way he is, it's that the only person he's competing against is the version yesterday that shot 62. And like the guy who could hit that perfectly weighted shot, like on from 186, like that's every day. He still loves practicing. He still loves getting out there and being like, what if we improve at this? And because he's only competing against himself. So there's no like, oh man, I don't have my peer that I'm chasing. Some guys need that. Most people need that. He doesn't. So I don't see it going away.
Yeah. We have this phrase. I coached this youth baseball team, like 6th graders, which is should write a newsletter about that. But we have this phrase where I tell them I be great at the boring stuff, because that's like your foundation. Like that's like the foundation for being like winning and being a good player. And I feel like nobody embodies that in professional golf better than Scottie. Like I think he like loves being great at boring stuff, which is very cool. Okay, last couple here. How do you, like when you're interviewing or in a press conference or one-on-one with somebody, how do you like, what's the question that you ask, or maybe like maybe a subtle thing that you say that like signals to them like, hey, you can trust me with your story. I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to burn you. I'm not looking for like a headline, like a, crooked headline. Like how do you like try to get that across as you're talking to people?
It's like the most important question ever, right? I'd love to hear your answer too, because you're obviously great at this, but like, it's something, I don't know if I'm great at it, but I think there's an element of, I think my move is kind of making fun of myself a lot. Like you've been around me, like I am self-deprecating. I am not intimidating. I am just kind of like a goober who's just kind of like tripping over stuff every day. So like, I think there's a little bit of like lack of self-seriousness, but like I take it seriously and I think they can see that I'm invested. But like, I think that tends to help like disarm a little bit and help just be like, all right, this isn't reporter that you and I both have in the back of our mind right now of like trying to get the answer. Like it's a guy trying to like understand something. I do think like, and this is probably more of like when you're asking a golf question, like I think they're all so wired to think, why are you asking me that? Mm-hmm. And it's like, sometimes I wish like I was in media like training where I could just be like, we are asking so we can understand. It is almost never like a 60-minute style. Why did you do this? It's, oh, like you took that shit. Like, so it's just like, sometimes it's just the simple preface of like, hey, I just want to make sure I understand so I get this right. Like, I think that's such a simple, nothing line that kind of goes a long way. And like building trust is like playing up your own ignorance and being like, I just want to make sure I get this right. I don't understand it. And I just think that helps. But I don't know if that's a great answer, because there's so many, like our guy Brendan Quinn is a god at being able to like get people to just open up. And I think like, and not just open up like in the like, oh, pour your heart out like Roy Firestone way, like, but like the just, I trust having a beer with you. I trust sitting next to you. And like, and some of that's like, I'm still working on it. And some of it's just like innate. And shoot, sometimes I think it's just being cool. Like,
yeah.
Brendan Quinn's really cool.
He is very much so. I think it's a great point of like, hey, I'm just trying to I want to make sure I understand this. I love that. I think one thing that I've tried to do, and I don't know if it works or not, but referencing something from like a long time ago, not even a long time ago. Like I remember I interviewed Wyndham Clark last year at some point, and I referenced something that he said or did in the 2023 US Open when he won. And I think you start speaking the language that they are like the world that they're in. And I think it turns them a little bit, but it's hard. I mean, I think if I was in their position, I would be pretty closed off. I mean, like the odds that you're going to say something inflammatory that's going to like make headlines are a lot higher than the odds that you're going to say something cool that's going to like make people like you, And so I would just default, I think, to being Ricky and saying nothing ever.
Yes. There's so little to gain.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing to admit in our job, but it's like we live in a terrible era for the way information gets disseminated.
Totally.
I think like the last thing to what you said is just like, the answer is like doing a little soul searching of who you are. This is way too But like, I think about this a lot. I think like the way to be a good interviewer is just think about who you are and make sure you're cognizant of it, and then just be yourself. Like, which sounds so corny and stupid, but like the second you're trying to be a reporter, or the second you're like, I am probably good at using like, I am an affable, like not serious looking person, and like I play on that and make fun of myself, while like the golf expert should lean into the fact that they're a golf expert and use that, and like tap into like, I can ask questions other people can't ask, like a Luke Curtinine can, or something like that. I do believe that it's like, or if you are like the serious guy, be the serious guy. But it's when you're trying to be something you're not. It's like, be human and they'll probably talk to you is the theme here.
I mean, I think in that case, like authenticity always wins out. It makes me think of just like Nardwuar and Terry Gross, just putting them like on a pedestal of authenticity, longevity, consistency, of just getting the best out of their interviewees. And oftentimes
be
it's
Nardwuar,
like,
that's the rule.
Be Nardwuar. It's oftentimes just like very simple follow-ups, like, you said this or you did this, what does it mean? And let's talk about it. It's not that complicated, and I think that brings up a lot of like very captivating kind of results.
The one question, and I presume you'll be on the Masters whenever they do the Champions call for Rory here in I don't know, 2 weeks, or I don't know when it is, but the question that I want to ask him that maybe he's been asked, but I have not gotten an opportunity to do it. I wanted to at the end of the Masters last year, was like, he talks a lot about putting yourself out there and emotionally putting yourself out there at a golf tournament. And I just want to say, like, what does that even mean? Like, that sounds, I think I know what it means, but it sounds crazy to somebody that doesn't play golf or is just kind of dive bombing into the Masters or whatever. They're like, I don't really get that. And so I'm fascinated. I think I'm generally fascinated by like what, and maybe specifically by him and Scottie, because I think they have really good like worldviews and the way they think about things. Very different, but very good.
I'm surprised to hear you say that though, because like you wrote really eloquently kind of around last Masters when he was saying like the dream and still chasing, like, don't like, I feel like what you wrote at the time, and I think what I took from like a lot of the times he says things like that, is like, he is an open vein of, I want this and I care about this, and like I am willing to just be vulnerably like, I want it, like, and that allows you to, when you fail, everybody stare at you, and like that's how I interpreted it.
My interpretation is, when you're winning a golf tournament, it's terrifying, right? And I think you can't read this on Data Golf. There's no like statistics that bear it out necessarily, but it's way easier to finish T6 every week.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Because you're never putting yourself in position to finish T2 and for it to hurt. And I think you have to be emotionally willing to be like, okay, I'm okay leading, like, and that's, again, that sounds
so
like
hard
gobbledygook and nonsense, but I'm curious if that's actually what he means or if it's maybe something different. So
it's a really good question though.
Yeah, I think just getting at like, hey, what did you mean? The question why, I think, is a great question. Like, why, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last thing. Well, almost last thing. What's something you changed your mind on? And this can be golf, media, any of it in the golf world since the end of the Tour Championship last year. So Tour Championship beginning of September. We've had the Ryder Cup. We've had some Euro Tour stuff. We had the West Coast Swing. Is there anything that you're like, oh, I think differently about this person or this player or this event or the future of the tour or any of that?
Since the Tour Championship is tough. I think my mind's changed. I'm sorry I didn't have like a dope one ready. I think like my mind's changed a lot on scheduling constantly. Like, what's the right path? What's the right move? Because I think I'm somebody who has very stubbornly believed that like, yes, in theory, we all want those great pebbles and rivs to be played later in the year for weather and all those things. But I think like I always stood by, it's a mistake because February and March and those times are some of the only times in the calendar where that's the only like I won Riv and that's the tournament that mattered this month. And the second you put it between a major, just doesn't matter as much anymore. The second you're in major season, those 3 weeks are just prep for the majors. Sorry, Truist, it's just the truth. And then the idea of like, I anyway, I think my mind's changed on, I didn't love the idea of it being in the FedEx playoffs, because I'm like, the second you're in the FedEx Cup playoffs, it's a means to an end. It's about, like, the storyline, whether you want to pretend it's about the winner or not, the storyline of Memphis is who's the top 50. Same with BMW, who's the top 30. The second you make it like Riv is the semifinal, winning Riv doesn't really mean anything anymore other than like you wanted a cool place. So I've always been really stubborn about that. I think though I am at least more open to change now, which is like a cop out, but like, because I do see the argument for like, people just aren't watching as much in February, even if they should be. It's like the only sporting event. It should be like Pebble and Riv should kill in February. They just don't. So like that part of my belief, I'm ready to like punt on a little bit.
But I don't know if would they kill in August or July?
It's a good question, man. July, I say no. August, there's a chance, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to see their internal data on all this stuff of like, what are you getting? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, literally, as we were recording, one of my good friends sent me an article from The Athletic, the tennis section. It said professional tennis is still broken. Here's how to fix it again. And it's about the schedule. It's about how they travel around the world and like how it's so like how taxing an 11th month schedule is. Like, where does that sound familiar? You know, like all these things that I think golf has as an issue as well. I'm with you. Like I historically have been like, I don't care. I care less about the FedEx Cup and who's in for like all this stuff than I do about like, did you win Riv? Did you win?
Riv? Yeah,
did
absolutely.
you win Bay Hill? Did you win?
I think we're already at the point of like, you can look at, we're far enough into the Tour Championship model, FedEx Cup model to say like, yeah, we don't look at that as like we don't even list that in the accomplishment list, you know, like, or maybe it's the 7th thing we list. And I think that's informative enough. And I think they're trying to fix that. So maybe that's like, in their defense, they might be making that matter. So tip of the cap if they can, but we're already there. We already know that that's not a legacy builder.
Yeah.
And maybe you make the championship Riv. That could be cool. Like, doesn't seem like that's in the cards necessarily. I've heard it suggested that like, what if you just literally just flip February and March, flip Florida, California? Don't hate that. I like the Players Big March. I love it as like the last big one before the Masters. But you're gonna have to give up something either way. That one could work.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. Okay, last two things we ask everybody that's on this. What's your hottest golf take right now that you also kind of actually believe?
I think we need to kind of like stop with some of the novelty storylines of golfers that like aren't good anymore. This one's kind of mean, but it's like
Spieth.
Even that one is on the Venn diagram of like maybe still okay, but like, and by the way, these are all people. I'm going to preface this really quickly. These are all people I like. I all think are really good dudes, and like I appreciate them. But every time Max Homa has like a mini comeback, or like we just run with the life or death story so quickly. We can't let go of the Joel Damon storyline no matter what happens. These are all awesome dudes.
Even Tiger.
But, yes, Tiger's QB1 example. Spieth, it's like, God, he's still so young. But like, I think I'm just very over like the way we have to do this every time of like Joel, look how lovable and affable. And then it's like, he is all those things. He's the man. But we don't have to like play this constantly. I'm just like overwriting about that. That's the hottest take I have. And it's kind of mean. And I don't like saying that out loud.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that even last week when Tiger was like, I might play the Masters, I was like, oh my gosh. It's a good example. Please, just, I don't. So I'm going to read through a couple of these. I put this out on Twitter in December. Jamie Kennedy banned tees. Roberto Castro, no rakes in the bunkers. Sick. Sam Harrop, unless weather delays are a factor, the final 2 rounds should always be 2 balls. Yeah, that's just a good take. Patrick McDonald, ban launch monitors at tournaments. Sick.
Okay, that's a good one.
Tweeth Mitchell, Rory's the second best golfer of all time and would beat Jagger by 20 if they could play against each other with the same equipment at the same age.
Okay.
Andy and Brendan were just talking about banning the spider putter because it's too successful.
That's a good one.
That might be the only thing that could stop Scottie. It's
I'm
just
all in
like
on
some
that.
major equipment change.
Ooh.
They also had one, Andy had one that they should retire different courses that they can't go to anymore because of equipment, which is a take that I had back in 2023, I think, Jason. I said, this is we titled an entire newsletter, do you want to go to St. Andrews? Because that's like the whole discussion for me with the equipment stuff. It's like, if you don't, then fine, like do whatever you want with equipment. But if you do, then like we need to like do something, because at some point we're not going to be able to.
It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. It's just like, it's looking more and more negative toward like, is any of that actually going to happen? So yeah. So like, what do they have in mind for the retirement? Like a ceremony, or just like just announcing like we're just not doing this anymore?
We're just not doing. Yeah, I guess just announcing it. Okay.
I really am like so sorry that I failed on hot take here. I will never forgive myself.
You're fine.
I think you had a good
want to
one
come up
in
with
the
a
end.
great one.
You can tweet it later and
we'll retweet it. What's a shot or moment you find yourself randomly thinking about? This could be anything. This could be from the Zurich Classic. It can be from the Masters. It can be whatever. Just throughout your day, you're like, why am I thinking about this one shot or moment?
And there's no good reason, but I think of Scottie's his second shot into 13 in 24. And I don't even remember, like,
on Sunday?
Yes, it was like things were getting tense, everybody was tight, and for some reason that it's not even like an all-timer. It's the one that Ted Scott talks about a lot. But that one really jumps out to me, like put a perfect shot up there for Eagle. It was in a pretty tough spot, and they had this whole debate of like, do we go for it? Do we smart? And he was just like, you're Scottie freaking Scheffler, go for it. That one is just for whatever stupid reason always in my head. That's the honest answer. It's not a cool answer, but I think about that shot a lot.
That's a great one. That was the year he made Eagle on Saturday, right?
Yes, correct.
But you're talking about the Sunday one.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
And like, I think the 24 Masters is one of the most underrated Masters, because I remember a lot of people writing like another snooze Masters, and there's a weird, like, yes, the last 4 holes we knew Scottie was running away with it, but it's like to quote Roger Clemens, a misremembering of what happened there. Like, there was 4 guys literally tied on the 8th hole. Like, that's pretty rare and awesome. And then Colin screws up on 9. Now it's down to 3. And then Ludwig and Homa mess up on 11 all of a sudden. And then like, it was like this moment where and also Scottie was playing really bad golf on that front 9. He was like, he was spraying it. It was his worst iron play at a major probably of the last 4 years. And he will tell you that. He was kind of all over. He threw one back at the back of 10. That was a pretty bad shot. Like, he wasn't looking great, and everybody was condensed. And then like in the span of 5 minutes, the lead changed 4 times. And then he hits that shot on 13. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I think he's got this, as everyone else just like goes to crap. And then I remember that being a great one, because that was a really tense hour. And then that last hour was actually just like a really beautiful coronation. It was just like, oh, he is the guy. This isn't just a one-hit wonder. This is like, he is here forever. So I think that's an underrated Masters.
Yeah, to your point, after the 7th hole, Scottie was 6 under, Ludwig was 6 under, Homa was 6 under, and Morikawa was 6 under.
Yep. And then Morikawa messed up at 9. Yeah, then they both, Homa and Ludwig both in the water on 11. Ludwig then comes back a bit, but like, it was like Scottie just for me, like my final, like, he's the guy. That actually, I think the one that history will forget though is Scottie at the Players that year. Like, that is, I think, will always go down as the most impressive Scottie performance for me. That's the neck injury, 2 days with a bad neck where he's just, quote unquote, his own words, slapping it around.
Yeah.
And then he just comes back still with the bad neck, and just comes back and wins the Players over like a pretty cool field of dudes, Wyndham, Xander, and like still very much hurting. Like, that was some I actually have my answer of what the actual shot is. It's also Masters. It's also that one. I know this is my answer. It's 9, Scottie. I knew I had the other one in my head and I lost it. 9, 2024. I'm standing directly behind the 9th green, and he hits, 9's not a hole you attack the pin on necessarily. Like, it's a hard hole. And Colin had just put in the bunker. So I'm already thinking like there's a danger here. And the way that ball hit the back of 9 and then just slow-mo, it almost looked like Tiger's 05 chip. Just like the way it just slow-mo rolled right to the pin at the 9. And I'm just like, this guy is a god. That roll is just seared in my brain. So that's actually my
that's a
answer.
great one. He bogeyed 7 to hold a 6 under. He birdied 8. He birdied 9.
Yep.
He birdied 10. Bogeyed 11.
How did he birdie 10? Go on, yeah.
Birdied 11. I think the shot you're thinking of on 10 was on Saturday when he hit it into the
bush.
Yeah, the bush back there.
Yeah.
He birdied 13. He birdied 14. He birdied 16, and it was over from there. But yeah, it's crazy. And I think to wrap this up, to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, there's a difference between being consistent and knowing like when you have to make 6 birdies in 9 holes to win a major championship. And that's something that Ricky has always struggled with. Ricky's super consistent. Ricky's like 21 on Data Golf right now, but I never think, like 2015 players aside, I never think, oh, he's pedaled down right now, like he's gonna go take this, because he's just here, and he doesn't have that like almost innate okay, I know this is what I have to do to go win the tournament that some guys just seem to have, and I don't, it's inexplicable.
I think that's the beautiful thing about covering golf, and why like I don't see myself ever getting tired of it. It's the thing that I know you love, like talking about, is who has it and who doesn't. And it's something that's ever flowing though. And I use Xander as an example. Like Xander was the top 10 robot, the most consistent golfer in the world for like 5 years. And he always denied that he was like anything was wrong with his approach, or that like, it's just a result. That was his catchphrase, right? But then on 10 at Valhalla, or 11 at Valhalla, the par 3, he had just I think like parred, which is a fail at 10 at Valhalla. And everyone else is catching up. Why am I blanking on the guy who like caught up? But like all of us, Hovland and Bryson, yeah. And he's at 11. He's not playing very good golf that Sunday. And I always am like hesitant to like go with the corny moment, but like I'm sitting at 11. I'm like the only person following Xander.
He bogeyed 10.
Yes. Oh, wow. So really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just like watch him take a moment, and Xander's always Mr. Robotic, and it just seemed like something changed. He wasn't attacking any pins that whole weekend. And then he just went for that really hard 11 pin. 11 was a tough hole, and just put it at like 5 feet or something and birdied it. And like, I watched the change in him. Like I watched a man become a possible killer in real time. And then he kills it on that back 9, wins it. Him at the Open was so badass, and then you just kind of saw that. I feel like that's who he is now. He has that killer, and I think that's kind of beautiful though, that like it's not you have it or you don't, like it can come, and I think that's kind of cool. Yeah,
I mean that's the Scottie conversation and the Sam Burns conversation that we had. Can you name the top 5 on the board at that Valhalla?
Oh my god! Wait, at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, so Xander, Hovland, Bryson.
Yep.
Did Rose fall off too far?
He finished T6.
Yeah, because he was toward the top. Sahith fell off pretty hard.
Yeah, not even top 10.
God, that's a bummer. Oh my God, who was it?
T4 was Colin Morikawa.
Yes, but he was in the final group and played like terribly.
He shot 71, which was
at Valhalla, not good. Yeah.
And Thomas Dietrich.
Did not remember that at all.
Shot 66 on Sunday.
I remember being really disappointed in Colin. And by the way, a beautiful little, like, not to hate on Colin, but like a beautiful, not beautiful, like inversion of this though. Like he had the killer at 24, man. That dude, his shot at Harding Park to win, like that was the par 5 or a short 4 at the Open at St. George's. Like he had killer moments, and everything for 6 years since has been the furthest thing from a killer. So it's like sometimes you have it when you're fearless. Spieth had it when he was fearless, and like he doesn't seem to have it the same way. So scar tissue can mess with a dude. I mean, I wrote about this in the newsletter recently. Like, by the way, congrats on the book. I forgot to say that, guys.
Oh, thank you. The stage does something to you, and we saw this at the Olympics, right? With Quad God, we saw it with Alyssa Liu, who rose to the occasion. Like the stage does something different to you than when you're playing a practice round or doing a practice skate for and whether that's good or whether that turns out good or bad, I just want to see what it does to you, because like
that's all we're writing half the time. Yep.
So many guys and women are like, okay, yeah, you can hit it 330 down the middle, like whenever you want. But what about when the Masters is on the line? And that was what was so compelling about watching this Rory on the stage for 2 excruciating hours. I mean, and he said this, like, I don't want to go back to the 15T ever again in my life, like to what I was feeling, because you're on the stage and like and the thing about golf, and I think this about the Olympics, we'll wrap up with this.
He's trying to wrap up, and then I have a counterpoint and ruin it for you. So sorry.
Okay. It's such a fleeting, like, you have 10 seconds, you never get this back. And like that idea just is so like crushing. Like the idea that like in 10 seconds, it's gone. You fall in your gold medal skate. It's 4 years. It's until you get to do it again. Like that is,
there's a weight of that you can't even.
Oh my gosh. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's terrifying.
It's a great argument to keep it every 4 years, I think, right there.
Yeah. Don't
the
cut
fear
that
of
out.
their life being ruined. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. But he's not wrong.
Okay, Jason, did you ever find the median earnings for somebody in 1970?
I'm still working on it. Yeah.
Coward.
I'll put something in the newsletter. I think it's a really good question. That's a fun one. Brody, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me, guys. This was a blast.
A ton of fun. We took a ton of your time, but appreciate you doing it. And we'll see you out there hopefully in a few weeks.
Absolutely. See you soon, guys.